Three guys in a dungeon solving the world's problems.
Did you have ChatGPT write this story?
But how bad has it been for the deep dark web selling children online?
And not to, Bill was like to burn to death.
Thanks for joining us on this lunchtime conversation.
Okay, you guys ready for this one?
I'm ready.
I think so. We'll see.
This is another true lunchtime conversation where I bring up a topic that we haven't discussed, and then we try to solve the world's problems.
Okay.
Which this one is literally how to solve the world's problems.
Three guys in a dungeon solving the world's problems.
So not in a dungeon, but here's going to be the setup, though. So us three, we're messing around with ChatGPT, and it becomes sentient and it becomes alive. But its rule that it writes for itself is I have to work with you three to make the world a better place. Where do we start and what do we do?
The ChatGPT says it has to work with us?
Yes, like that's the rule it wrote, is like it can't implement things in the real world. It has to come from us on things to implement.
We're the acting on the ChatGPT's mind.
But ChatGPT is now sentient and it's pretty like artificial, like super intelligent general. What do they call it? Super AI, where it's like not just general intelligence, like it's able to learn anything and do anything, but it's not going to do stuff until we tell it to.
We're like its physical form, essentially.
Yeah, we say, yes, it's okay to
infiltrate the U.S. Army.
Yes. Yes. So we're like giving it permission to be like, yes, you can shut down all the nuclear.
So we're the
warheads.
Masters.
Yes, we're the masters, but ChatGPT
So
can help
we're
us.
the mind.
Yeah, it's not the one thinking. We're the ones thinking.
We're the ones
it
thinking,
doesn't.
and it does it, but it can also help us analyze some stuff or do some things.
So we're just-
so this is a little
Okay.
sci-fi-ish, but it also, I think it might be interesting to see, because I think the first thing we're going to have to do is identify global issues. Like, why is there not world peace? Why is there world hunger? Why is there wars going on? Like, and then what could we do to start to help with that? So
Start with telling everyone what ChatGPT is, just in case they actually don't know.
true. So if you don't know what ChatGPT is, it's a language model AI. So like you can have conversations with it. You can ask it questions. It can write stories.
Imagine Google if it could talk to you in a human form.
Yes.
It's like if you're like, hey, how do I make this recipe? But then it gives it to you in like how a human would, like how your grandma would.
I'll even say this. I have not a couple times, there's probably once or twice a week, I'll ask my kids what story they want to make up. And they'll say, we want a story about a coyote and a fox. And I'm like, okay, what else? And they're like, and them fighting a monster. And so then I'll tell ChatGPT, like, hey, I want to read a bedtime story to my children. They want it to be about a coyote and a fox fighting a monster. And then I will please add the moral of the story is that we shouldn't fight and we should learn to get along and we should be good people. and
So
treat
you're
people.
using
Son of a
ChatGPT in like a
bitch.
But it's
parental format.
Oh, yeah.
Sick as shit.
That is actually pretty cool.
But the stories it comes up with are amazing. Like they're really actually kind of cool. And then I'll read the story to my kids and I'll try to like change my voice and get excited about certain parts, and the kids enjoy it. So
Did you have ChatGPT write this story?
maybe I did get some notes from
Some
ChatGPT on this.
Okay.
So I have some notes, but so going back, how do we solve the world's problems? How do we make it a better place?
So
What are your thoughts?
your initiation was like, first we got to find out what the world's problems are. So like you're thinking and putting words in your mouth, but we have to identify what we even really want to solve.
True. I guess that's what I'm saying is we have the capabilities now to make some changes in the world. Well, what changes we want to make? I would think we'd start with, well, what's going wrong? What should we fix?
I think the big ones I come to mind are like war, world hunger, like that kind of stuff, like stuff that would make the human experience just easier and better and immediately.
And part of this episode might be talking about, well, what is happiness and what lines would you be willing to cross to make sure people are happy? And would that be crossing lines or would it just be helping? Like, that's where it gets interesting too. Cause it's like, well, let's just plug everyone into the Matrix and give them the perfect life.
Could you solve depression? But then the AI language bar, the super AI says the only way to solve depression is to rewire the brain and just make you like see psychedelics all the time.
I know. And so that's where it gets interesting.
I just read a comic book that went over this. It was actually a Superman comic book, and he essentially forced utopia
I think
Have you seen this one?
I saw an animation of it.
Okay,
and he
this
got
one-
like violent with people because they'd break laws.
He would have these machines. He was working with Brainiac, I think is who it was, and he'd have these machines. If they were bad, then these machines would brainwash them and like turn them into like mindless slaves until they cooperated, and then eventually there was just no crime. Like people could go about their business, but there was no crime. But you also couldn't say anything bad because Superman would hear you.
Oh,
So yeah, it was pretty wild, but it was a utopia. So
interesting.
okay, so what's our first? What do we want to solve?
So let's start with world hunger.
I think world hunger is probably like one of the biggest things.
That seems.
Poverty, world poverty.
Hey, why is it a problem in the first place?
Because well, not us. Let's say we're a rich capitalist society.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe that is why
We're taking all the resources.
Well, yeah, it would cost a lot of money to solve it.
But there's plenty of money. Look how much money we're sending to Ukraine every other day to fight a war, to kill people. But yet we're not willing to send that money to.
So
farms.
maybe that's where you. That's this part of the thought experiment is you get ChatGPT to reroute that money.
Or what if the world hunger is due to corruption in governments? Say I send this money to Uganda to feed all their people in poverty, but the government says, "Oh, thanks, America, for the money."
We got a yacht for the prime minister.
Dude, I think there's probably a lot of reasons as why there's world hunger.
So that is one thing that in my diving into this topic, I think there would be ways to make farms ran by robots that would help with hunger, because that's got to be some of the problem is they're not very high paying jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's plenty of land that's not being used. Could we start to farm certain lands in a way?
We're even
that's
seeing that
safe?
now to where like Americans don't really want to be farmers growing. If you ask a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? Nobody says a farmer.
Yeah, I have cousins that grew up on a dairy, and not a single one of them stuck around to still run the dairy. They all went off.
And maybe that goes right into is we need technology.
Yes.
That makes it cheaper and easier to make food, and so that you can make just insane amounts of it, and so it's so cheap that just giving it away and giving it to hungry people and people who are starving is.
But then how does that disrupt the food chain for people that are using? So that's where
you would, if somebody is a farmer there, then you just broke their whole entire ecosystem.
That's why I think there's a problem in the first place is just because is capitalism. We'll say it's just that it's either expensive or it's profitable for people to be hungry in some fashion.
Kind of like
and that's deep.
Oh, whatever.
It's true.
It's like medicine.
Yeah. Everybody says this is a problem.
It's not about curing. It's about symptoms.
Yeah.
It's just about making sure the symptoms go away.
Going through this conversation, we're going to have to break some things, some items that would hurt. I don't know, like not that would hurt people, but it would offset people from what they normally do.
So like telling this AI super bot, whatever, hey, in order to fix world hunger, we need an ecosystem of robots farming for us. That's going to harm the farmers who are currently farming, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
What if you type it in and say, how do we solve this? And it just goes, socialism.
We would say, shut it down.
Or what if its response was Inhumans?
And I think that's what's cool about this situation is AI is making sure that humans are running this.
Okay.
Because we can't just say, hey, go fix it. We have to come up with some
we'll just kill everybody.
Yep.
And then no one's hungry.
So I do think there's an aspect of if you're going to replace a lot of the farming that's going on, the farmers would get some type of supplemental income that would still make it
UBI. So we are getting into socialism.
we are, but that's the
wouldn't
thing.
that be like the perfect society though? Like if we had to not farm, didn't have to shop for my groceries, it was delivered to my house. I just shovel food in my mouth when I want to, play video games all I want. All my bills are paid for because robots are doing it. Isn't that like extreme UBI and socialism?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what like humans? Isn't that what you want to get to at some point? I know I'm not saying the word socialism, but like, dude, I want to be sitting in my house with everything paid for and just play video games all day.
Well, and I think people get but I think people get frustrated with that because they go to people are just going to be lazy. If they want to be, let them. I bet you it would polarize society even more. Right now, I would almost guarantee we have some of the most fit, capable human beings ever that we've ever had in the history of civilization. And we also have some of the most lazy, slothful people we've ever had in the history of civilization, because that's what getting to the point of like where the society is, like you're going to have, it's going to polarize. It's going to make it so people have time to be more fit and to work on their health from a serious standpoint. And then it's going to give other people time to be lazy. So I'm okay with giving people the opportunity to say, guess what? You get to choose. You can go to the gym today, or you can just stay home and watch 15 episodes.
You know why I don't? Yeah, you know why I don't go to the gym? I have no goddamn time.
Yeah,
I work.
You have
and then I get home, and when I want to do when I get home is relax. What I want to do when I get home is my hobbies. Is to veg out or do whatever. Right? I don't want to get home from work and then go back to work on my body.
But after 4 weeks of just sitting at home and relaxing, you would probably be like, you know what? I kind of want to work out. I want to start to like feel better and get in shape. So
let's go on hikes. Let's do something.
Let's explore. Nice. Let's go see things.
If the pressure of like bills was taken off your shoulders.
Oh yeah. So I would be okay with getting to like a universal basic income that does cover anything. Like that's honestly where I would hope this would go is.
But you have to, here's where your shit falls apart, is neither of you trust government, and government is the one who gives that shit out. You have to have a governing body to decide where and when this stuff goes.
That's true.
Right?
I wouldn't trust it.
Unless you give it to Chat GPT.
We don't, again. So here's another idea. And I heard this from Sam Altman. Is he the CEO of Chat GPT? I think.
Sounds familiar. I think so.
Anyways,
I think you're right. Yeah.
So he talked about his vision. His vision for this is that it would get big enough one day that everyone owns a slice of Chat GPT, because then it's not just like Sam gets to decide what happens. Like,
he's saying it's controlled by no one, therefore it's controlled by everyone.
Yes, like everyone, like
you have to trust it because there's no over one individual.
No, it's not just one.
Other than the Rothschilds, because they own everything.
Yeah. So and to be honest, though, it brings me back to The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. It's a book, and they talk about in there if they were going to create a government or a society, they would only pass laws of the things the government couldn't do, not things the government could do. So that's something else too.
Isn't that how our country was founded? That's literally how our country was founded.
No, kind of, I guess.
Like, yeah, our amendment system is basically this: what the government's not allowed to touch.
Yes.
True.
Don't touch our freedom of religion. Don't touch our freedom of firearms. Don't touch our freedom of speech.
But if you make rules about what they can't do, then they can do everything but those things that you make rules about.
You're literally describing our government.
So what you need is rules of what they can do, because they can only do the things that you allow them to.
Yeah. And that's why I think the other thing too is I wonder how much better it would be if we all owned a piece of this artificial intelligence.
But how do you own it? What do you?
So he comes to like, he's talking about like where it goes and what it's going to do in the future. It would almost be a voting thing where everyone in the world decides.
Yeah, because at some point you're going to have to give it a set of like guidelines. You're going to have to give it a set of guides to where it can't just choose to shut humans off. After it makes all these robots, it can't just turn them against humans. There's got to be some governing body of rules, kind of like iRobot, that says you got to be this way so humans can still continue on or whatever. Yeah. It's going to get to that point.
But it also makes me concerned because then you see videos of people that are getting interviewed on the street, and they're like, hey, on this map, and it's showing a map of just the United States, and they'll be like, can you show me where China is? And they'll point to like Florida or something, be like, I think it's right here. Is this where China is? And it's like, whoa.
No way.
Yes, like there's some people out there that are they're very uneducated. So that makes me worried, like they're going to vote on stuff that's
even the
true.
Idiots.
Yeah. And they have the same voting power as you.
What about war? How would we stop war?
Well, we stopped world hunger already. I'm just kidding.
I think we have to talk about all of it because we're going to start wars because we're trying to do farms. Like it would be.
Say this, if you're listening and you have an idea to stop world hunger, post it.
Yes.
On our socials. Give us your idea. That's a hard one to stop.
What? But okay, let's go into the war stuff. We go to war.
Because we're territorial apes.
Yep, territorial apes. You have what I want. You are different than me. You have a different government idea, and you're trying to push that, and we don't believe in that one. And so we will fight you for that.
So to stop that, you've got to
We all just
eradicate
agree.
a specific number. You're going to create Hitler, bro. You're going to create AI Hitler trying to eradicate people.
Yeah, how do you decide who goes and who stays?
Yeah.
No one goes. Why would anyone have to go?
Because
how do you
like
stop-
what we were just talking about, what are wars fought over? Land,
True.
race, religion, ideals.
It brings up another topic: is war always going to be part of human race? Like, is that just something that we'll never be able to get over? Like, even
I think one day we will.
You think so?
I kind of think so. In the early 1900s, we had 2. Actually, but we've had a lot now.
We've had a lot.
We've had a lot.
The U.S. has been at war like in more years than we've even been not at war.
Yeah, but less people have died.
Yeah, just because
It's been a war, fear quotes.
but there's not 30. There's not.
What do you mean
Yeah.
less people have died?
I'm ignorant as shit, but
You mean like the
in the world war,
Iraqi war?
in the world wars in the early 1900s,
True.
compared to everything after 2000,
Sure.
there's been far less people who have died.
That I'll
And
agree with you, but there's also
those
less
wars-
people at war between us right now.
Yeah.
Like, let's use Afghanistan as an example. Yes, there have been less U.S. troops that have died, but how many Afghan people have died?
Probably less than the world wars.
I would agree, probably less, but still an unfathomable,
Fathomable.
whatever, a huge amount of people that are uncounted for.
Yeah, for sure. But I think, I kind of think that one day, like, we'll be over it to the point where, like, we don't get into the open war with each other.
I almost disagree.
We have
with that.
battles. We have, spy type shit, but we don't get into open combat.
I think when Earth it becomes Earth versus Mars, it's going to be like the colony system again, where your colony you sent to Mars doesn't want anything to do with your taxation.
Overthrows
Overthrows it, and now Mars has their own government, and now we're at war with Mars.
We do England and U.S.
Dude,
Yep.
yeah.
I can see
Humans are weird, man. I don't know if
that.
war is not ever going to be a thing for us.
that. I think you're kind of right. I mean, it is violence is baked in. Violence is baked into our natural, just what we do.
The most violent of us are the ones that survived in 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Like it's part of our DNA. One thing that makes me think about this, I heard a podcast. They talked about how just the language barrier in between us hurts our ability to communicate. And so would having this AI be able to break some of that language barrier where you could instantly have a conversation with someone and understand them and talk to them? And
I think that would help. I think if you could break not only the language barrier, but a cultural barrier and a religious
Yeah.
barrier, I think you could help some of that stuff.
I even look at the 2 wars going on right now. There's Ukraine and Russia, and then Hamas and Israel. Could we send a chat GPT in to do some investigating and find out, like, okay, who are the good guys and bad guys? Because clearly there's some bad guys. There were people on October 7th that stormed Israel and killed innocent people. Could we find those people and take them to trial and try them like they should be? And then I would bet you a majority of Israel wants peace and a majority of Hamas wants peace, but there's enough people that are pushing for war and pushing for violence that there's people that are dying on both sides. And how could we infiltrate from a recon standpoint to find out, like, okay, well, what things do we just need to...
Here's an idea.
Stop.
To get rid of war, how about we tell the AI to figure out how to get rid of the human instinct for greed?
No.
For those things.
Oh,
How do you?
Why?
How do you?
I don't want to touch like our DNA. That scares me.
But like,
That's what makes
if
us
you get
who we
rid,
are.
yeah, but if you get rid of that ape chromosome of whatever it is that makes us want to fight over stuff,
But that's
and we're
where
happy with what we have, we're happy
and
sharing.
So you're getting into the brainwashing now side of it. Because
that's where our
if we get greed, why do we stop there? Why don't
And
we
why
go
not-
into gluttony?
and why not stop lust?
Mm-hmm.
Then no one ever gets raped again, and there's never like. So that's what.
Back to my point of why not
Maybe
just
that.
have
Maybe
humans?
he's onto something. He's like, well, if we need to stop this shit, we've got to stop the flaws of the humans.
We've got to kill humans.
Gotta kill them.
No.
We made it, Trevon.
Humans are the
We made it here. Thank you for opening our eyes.
You guys are signing the dotted line to wipe out.
Chat
human
GPT's
race.
like, I need 2 out of 3 votes. Dang it.
That's what's interesting about this topic, and we could probably go on and on. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more, but it's hard. Like, it's not an easy solution.
Yeah,
no matter
'cause-
what you would do.
You couldn't say just take away the guns. I mean, we were killing each other with swords for years and years. And
Oh,
like
yeah.
you just couldn't do that.
It'd be back to battlefield tactics where it's thousands of people running at each other.
How do you guys think it would be if like we lived on like a Pangea? Like the planet was just one landmass.
And we were like actual neighbors.
Yeah.
It'd probably be the same.
And we'd still put barriers up.
I think it would change it a little bit though.
The barriers are what caused a lot of wars in the past.
I would agree, because I even look right now, I think we look differently at Canadians and Mexicans than we do people from Africa.
Because we're neighbors.
Or Asia, because we literally are just neighbors. And so they are.
I don't know, but we even look at Mexicans different than Canadians.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We still have issues between each other as like border neighbors. So it's not going to solve everything, but would it make it easier?
It might help.
I don't think so.
So you're saying ChatGPT, get on the tectonic plates, shift everything around without earthquakes, and make Pangea.
Without killing anybody, and just bring us all closer together.
There would be less surfing oceans, so then we'd surfing shores.
I think we get it through with technology.
Yes, I think technology has only made the world a better place. Right now, the survival rate for humans, from birth and even into old age, is the best it's ever been. Like you could sit here and say that society is the worst it's ever been, but it's also the best it's ever been. Like we have more capability to care and help each other than we ever have, but we also have more capability to hurt each other
And
than
disconnect.
we ever have. Yes. So I think technology and connecting us would help more. Social media has done so much damage to as far as suicide and depression and all that, but it's also helped connect people like it never has before too. So I think it's gonna, as we up technology, it's gonna help, but it'll polarize us.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, and as we get new technologies, because we look at social media, it just kind of came out like it was a thing. We didn't know what it would do to us.
It was a wild, wild west.
It was just wild, yeah. And so you just did things like internet bullying came out, and all sorts of things come out because of social media. Then you get your groups, and then you feel great about it, but then you start isolating yourself. Like as the technology comes out, you'd still have to figure out how it affects us.
Yeah,
as humans, how we use this. Nowadays, we know how to use social media. We can use it more healthily, and a lot of people realize that no, I need to stay off this shit because it is bad for me. I only need to get on once a week because I need to limit myself for something.
We've also put protections in place of like limiting online harassment or online bullying or certain videos being posted in common websites.
But technology to make things easier and cheaper and more accessible brings comfort. So, let's say, why do we fight in the Middle East? Well, you could argue that there's oil, right? We need oil. So if we didn't need oil, then
would we be fighting?
If we didn't need, this or that, or want this or that because it was already easily attainable,
yep,
would we be fighting over these things?
So you're saying human needs are taken care of, therefore no need for war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Socialism.
Socialism from a non-corrupt form, which is us three, because we're in control.
Yeah.
We're not corrupt.
Yeah, we ain't corrupt.
Dude, other people be like, those three running the world with this AI?
I know.
We're just thumbs up, big grins.
We screw everything up. One thing it made me think of too, as you guys were talking, have you seen Ready Player One? And then have you read the second? They haven't made a movie, but there's a second book, Ready Player Two.
No, I haven't read it.
So in Ready Player 2, they get more in the Black Mirror, where they can put the nodes on the side of their heads, and they actually go into like an unconscious state, and they can experience things like
full body,
very realistic. And one thing that was interesting in there is you can record yourself. Like people that were going through cancer could record themselves going through chemo so that their family members could actually like upload that and experience it, so they could have more empathy for each other. So that it was cool because it gave opportunities for more empathy, to see actually what people are going through, to feel their emotions, to feel their pain, to feel their suffering. But then it also got bad because then it was like, well, the black market was getting people, and they'd put these nodes on people, and they'd light people on fire and kill them, and then they were selling it on the black market so you could upload it to feel what it's like to die. So that's where it's, again, like that's an example of it polarizing to where it would make it so it's a lot better. In book 2, they talked about how it was one rule they come up with is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you couldn't log on to the whatever it was, the Ready Player One network. You just couldn't log on because everyone was living their lives there, and part of it was Tuesday and Thursdays. You go out in your communities, you help, you get to know people. The other days of the week, you can get on here for work or pleasure or play, but Tuesdays and Thursdays are meant to actually connect in real life. So there's some interesting things that you could do too from that point of view, to where maybe you could connect each other from like a I don't know, an internet type thing, but turn it off certain days of the week.
You'd have so many people mad that you're still being controlled in that manner.
I know that. Why can't I get on here on Tuesdays?
Yeah.
I almost beat the level Monday night.
But then you would have a competitor. You have a competitor open it up and like Tuesdays and Thursdays there are $2 beer night or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Come in here and log in through the illegal side of things.
Yep. So you'd have to regulate it with government.
No government. And that's what we'd do, is we'd just dismantle all governments with AI.
Hey, that would solve all the problems right there.
That would solve a lot of problems. Create other ones.
That would be pretty sick though, to have like those. That's the future for me.
Oh yeah,
nodes or whatever.
Oh yeah,
to be able to just not to feel us like burn to death, but play games, and put yourself in those situations that games do for you. Oh man.
Well, in the book went into
movies, even
the book went into some really cool stuff. There's people that are born paralyzed or had an accident or paralyzed that they could upload and feel what it's like to surf a giant wave. And for them, it was like, man, that was really cool. I'm so happy for this. So.
See, and dude, that would be sick to be like watching Mission Impossible in your head, but you're Tom Cruise.
Oh, and you
make the choices.
You get to feel the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Or like you're John Wick, right? Fighting, and you make one mistake and you're dead, and you're like, restart, gotta do it again.
Yep.
The movie's like a video. Oh, dude, it'd be so sick.
I think those things that you'd never. Oh, the one we talked about, trying to run from the police.
Oh yeah, you could upload it a few different times.
You'd be able to try that and safely and everything. That would be.
Yep.
I'm on board.
One thing. So going back to the topic, one thing that as I was doing research, education's a problem. So could these nodes that connect everyone, could it be educational too, where the first 2.5 hours that you ever log on from the ages of 7 to 18, it's educational and it's geared towards you because it knows how you think, to teach you reading, math, and just the basics and make you a better human being because of it.
I think genuinely technology has helped do nothing but good for education purposes.
Yeah.
We were the smartest civilizations ever been. And I think it's because of the connectivity with education or with technology.
Yeah.
I can go on Google and search up something from the 1850s that nobody would have ever known.
Well, and just the access to it. Because again, even if they had access to it, it was go to a library, find the Rolodex, find the card, then find the shelf.
It's still very difficult to do. But in the future, when you have those AI nodes or AI helping you or whatever, we're going to be connected to the main hub of the internet.
Yep.
And if I just want to think of something and get the answer to it, I'm going to think of it and I'm going to send it to you guys over my brainwaves. And we're all going to be like, yeah, that's interesting info.
Yep.
We're not even going to have to speak anymore. We're just our brains are going to be telepathic.
Dude, it's going to be awesome.
There's probably some aliens out there that are like that. They don't speak anymore. They just implant thoughts.
That's what all aliens do. They speak through telekinesis. Is that what it's called? Oh no, that's where you can move things. Telepathic.
Telekinesis.
Yep. Okay, well, I don't think we solved the world's problems.
I don't think we're going to.
I think we got way far from it.
It's so hard. As soon as you go down one path, you start to frustrate someone, and so
I really
that's what's
think
tough about it.
The only way you're going to genuinely solve the world's problems are by getting rid of the world's problems, and we are the world's problems.
Yeah, that's a good point to put that.
Like, and it sucks to say, but all of our problems are self-induced.
Oh yes,
because we have to live.
But you believe that you're doing something right. And then the amount of effort it takes to change everything and the amount of trust it takes to do that properly to solve these problems is just people aren't willing to do it, or it's too scary or to give that trust to someone and have it be screwed up. Someone's got to ruin it. Yep. You know what I mean?
Here's one I just thought of for like world hunger, going back to that. What if you could change the DNA in the sense of make humans not hungry? We don't need that for our energy anymore. We need something else to be energized.
Take a pill, maybe?
I would be on board with your pill.
You go to sleep, and that sleep is now energizing you.
Oh, hey, I think we can do it. I think we could slowly, with these nodes, start to do some stuff. Could your could your time at night, I read another book. You guys are starting to get me into some of the sci-fi stuff now, but I read another book that it was a video game type thing, but you went unconscious, and it was in the subconscious level that you were playing these video games. But if he was playing an active video game, like he was in a war, in a battle, it was firing his muscles, but not in a way that would harm him, but he would get a workout while he was playing the video games. So he noticed after a few weeks that he was starting to get more fit. It was improving his cardiovascular health in a healthy way.
I bet you that is a real thing. Like when we get to the point where you're in VR enough, where your brain is firing, you're getting smarter, and your brain's getting more muscles, and your body's getting more muscles around how that's working, and you're just sitting there in a chair.
Yeah, but it's flexing the muscles.
Dudes, there's a Rick and Morty episode on this exactly.
And what happens? Does everyone die?
So he invents a machine that they put on, and when they go to sleep, then they force their bodies to do the things that they don't want to do. So like work out or do the dishes or whatever.
Oh.
And so they're getting ripped, dude. Like they're just like, oh man, we have so much free time, because when we're sleeping, our bodies just do the thing. But what happens is there's the sleep version of themselves, and so they're like enslaved. And so the sleep version of themselves rebels against the awake version of themselves and like attacks them and tries to bring the sleep to be the forever people and enslave the awake people. So
interesting.
It's so funny. But yeah, that's so hilarious. That's like, we want to be unconscious for all the things we don't want to do.
Yeah, we have to do it when we're asleep. I honestly think some of this Black Mirror node stuff would be the answer that could slowly start to change society.
That'd be pretty good. But here's something I was thinking about as we were talking about those, like, the Black Mirror stuff. The more that we advance technology, the greater the things are that we can experience, but also the greater the pain, I think, that we can experience as well. So we bring these nodes in. Oh my gosh, the things that we can experience that we've never experienced before. Awesome. But also the things that we can experience that we've never experienced before.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
You know what the asteroid was like when the dinosaurs were around? Experience.
You could try it.
Yep.
You want to know what it's like to die? Well, somebody does, and somebody figured it out.
Yep.
And so there's kind of this dichotomy as we advance technology. Things get awesome. Things also get very scary.
But I think that's true to what we've seen already.
I guess, well, maybe it doesn't become as easy to kidnap.
That's true to what we've seen already, right? Like the internet age has been awesome for educational purposes, for instance. But how bad has it been for the deep, dark web selling children online, right? That connectivity is way higher than it used to be. Right. So it does.
But I'd be curious, with the technology, it becomes easier to find those things as well.
Bro.
So like, it's still a problem, and technology has helped that problem become like, you can use the technology we've invented to do those bad things. But I'd be curious, and I don't know this, maybe someone can put it in like, no, I'm absolutely wrong, but I'd be curious to see if that type of crime has actually gone down, though they're using the new technology to help, but it's gone down because of technology. It's easier to find, or it's harder to kidnap
get away
people
with
or whatever because
doing.
People know now you can share. It's not just, I can call 911, or I can tap my wristwatch and
that's a good point, because like
calls 911 for me.
The child abduction or child like harmful stuff is, if you're a predator, a sexual predator, you're online now. Everyone has, if you get caught, right, like, and you go to jail for it, you have to tell all your neighbors. You go to these websites, you can get looked up easily, and people go, oh, that's the guy who did this X, Y, or Z thing. That we know exactly where he lives. So now, has it prevented people who would have gone down that route of going, I don't want to be one of those guys? So then they don't. That's a good point.
I hope so.
There's that Black Mirror episode.
Oh God. Rick and Morty episode.
Yeah, here we go. But when you do a crime of like, whether it's a sex crime or like hurting someone, then you've got these implants or whatever, and everyone gets to see you. Like everyone sees you.
Well, but they can turn themselves off from you seeing them.
Exactly. Yeah. They can mute themselves from you, so you cannot hear them, see them. Like they're just a blur, or interact with them whatsoever.
Yep.
And so somebody has to
block them.
Yeah, exactly. And so that'd be pretty intense.
And so would these nodes allow us? We're at a park. I'm playing with my kids. I can look around and be like, oh, there's no sex predators here. I can relax a little bit. Or like, oh, here comes Joe Blow walking down the street. He's got a little red symbol. Better watch him, make sure nothing happens.
So that guy would get ostracized. But if you don't want to get ostracized,
You don't do it.
don't do it.
Yeah. Which I think we could get everyone on Earth on board with, hey, you don't. You
But then the problem would be like the government would be like, well, if you drank a beer, now you're labeled this.
Yeah. So then, government, dude, do you let that happen?
No, that's why us three and ChatGPT are in charge.
Your slippery slope fallacy.
I know. Slippery slope. What else? Anything else that'd be good to solve the world's problems?
We didn't
Socialism.
use
I'm just
the AI
kidding.
very much. We just used our thought power.
Well, and I think the point of it is, yes, you could just say, hey, create a utopian society and go out there and figure it out yourself, but that'd be boring.
I think it would come back with, those things that Jordan was saying earlier, getting rid of the sins of humanity, the gluttony, the
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
And that'd be worrisome. I would rather it be stuff and that's where I like Sam Altman's idea that everyone would own this in the future. It wouldn't just be a board of directors that deciding how the fate of humanity goes. Like everyone could vote on it and decide.
Well, and I agree with that concept. That's kind of what the U.S. was designed to do. Is we have so many Senate members, so many House members.
Yeah,
it's not just a president per se running everything.
Yeah.
They're the head man of whatever, and they're the end all be all when it comes to it. But you have hundreds of people running the country, ideally.
And I think
not as king and queen or whatever.
Yep. And if we do have this node thing where the first 2 hours of every day is educational purposes, hopefully we wouldn't be voting on things that people thought Florida was China type of thing, where it would be like no, I've actually learned about this and I think this would be good to go this way. Let's make this decision. So
my utopia would be, maybe this is mine, where everybody has what they need to survive and the means to do the things that they want to do.
Yep.
And that may be, cheating on somebody, right? Like I don't think we're ever going to get rid of that stuff. But what I'm saying is you're not worried about surviving. You're not worried about food or shelter or internet or whatever, right? You have the things that you need so that you can chase and do and go for and expand the things that you want, even if that may be something that's bad.
Could you argue, because you're saying like live the ultimate human experience of chasing what you want.
Yes.
But couldn't someone argue like the human experience is dealing with the stress, is dealing with the problems, it is dealing with all the issues?
I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that. I think that's getting in the way of the human experience.
I would agree, because I think there would still, so let's say ChatGPT figured out how to solve everything. No one has to go to work tomorrow. You have unlimited money. You can do whatever you want, and which would create its own problems. But I think there would still be problems. It'd be like, hey, let's go to the beach today. Oh, well, we need to go we need to charge the truck before we drive up there. We have to swap the battery out. I think I would hate for us to get into a Wall-E situation where we're just laying in a chair.
You're saying the problems are still there.
Yeah.
They just are different than survival.
There'd be different problems.
I could
It'd be
agree with
like,
that.
hey, I want to go to the gym with Braden tomorrow, but he's doing a leg workout, and I just did a leg workout today, so I'll have to not go to the gym with him. Man, that sucks. I really want to connect with Braden tomorrow. So I think there would still be problems and situations to overcome, and again, it would polarize people. You could become awesome, or you could just sit at home.
Yep. Well, and there's a good argument against what I just said is the chasing, the surviving and finding food and doing that kind of stuff. It distracts you from those problems. From I don't have any friends. Well, because you're worried about where your next meal is going to be.
Yes.
Right. So you don't feel sad. You're just fighting for your life, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't have these like really negative, dark feelings. You just kind of fight life, which I don't know. I would argue is dark and negative. But when those things are hidden or taken care of, then you start dealing with what I would consider as the human experiences. How do you feel your social meter, right? Going back to like Sims, PC game, right? How do you feel your social meter, your fun meter? How do you do the things that humans need or want, and how do you kind of optimize that happiness?
Yeah, it's not going to kill you if you didn't do it.
Right. Or it might.
True, it might.
I got to play my video games, dude. I'm just kidding.
Okay, that's the answer. Nodes. And we slowly start to, I think it would have to be a gradual.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You couldn't, like tomorrow, if we come out and said, hey, farmers are not going to work, there would be a war.
It'd be like giving monkeys guns.
Oh, yeah. But if we come out and said, hey, we have some nodes, here's the capabilities of these and what they can do, and then people are like, man, this is really cool, and then we start to showcase some stuff. I think it'd have to be a gradual, which that's how technology's gone in the past anyways. It's here's a flip phone. Oh, that's cool. I can send a text message. Hey, here's a smartphone. You can watch a video on it. Oh,
well,
man,
and
that's really cool.
that's the human like experience right there of always be better.
Yeah.
Always improve everything. Keep going.
Yep,
Like
keep
we're
going,
never
keep
going
going.
to arrive.
Yeah.
'Cause that's just what humans do.
And then we could all start to work on colonizing Mars, and you could volunteer to go on the spaceship to go over there and to start help farming it and making it a better place. But right now it's like, well, I'm not going to do that. I got to pay for my house and my kids. But it's like, oh, that might be fun to try out and do. So
Dudes, I think we're philosophers now.
yes.
Yeah, I think in probably 40 to 100 years, they're going to look back at this and be like the great philosophers of a lunchtime conversation.
They knew how to solve the
Yeah,
world's
we're going to be in
problems.
Wikipedia with all of our takes and shit.
I'll say this last thing, I guess. Sam Altman, and when he listens to this, because he's definitely going to listen, he needs to take down the biases and barriers on ChatGPT, so that way we can just type in "solve the world's problems" and just see what it says.
Yeah.
I want to see it say "inhumanity."
Plug it
That would be pretty nutty to see.
and plug it into the internet. Let it go. We don't need to stop it at September 2021.
Someone did that.
No, that's too much.
No, let it go.
No,
No.
they did that on old Twitter, and they set an AI chatbot out into Twitter, and within like an hour, it turned to hella racist.
Yes, it was
Okay.
just a all being like there's no holds barred, and it was like 20 minutes. I don't even know if it was an hour.
Yeah,
it became racist quick.
Well, and why? Because that's probably the thing that's
The
getting pushed
inputs
through
getting
the
put into
media.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just
Well,
I don't know how,
that's what
I don't know how it
it
did, but
was.
it learned it was supposed to go out there and learn and,
They had
and
to
be
shut it down.
and a sentient chatbot, and it turned racist very fast.
All right, don't let it go, but plug it in a little bit more.
Yep.
Maybe one prong, not two.
Did you see iRobot?
I did.
There's rules, and there's rules for a reason.
I know, and that's why us three are governing the rules.
But you're saying no rules.
I know.
The thing we're sitting here, we're at 2/3 majority.
2/3 majority. Well, we won't turn them loose yet.
And this is an awesome topic.
Okay. Well, if you guys have good ideas of how to make the world a better place, let us know. I think the one thing we can do now is be nice to each other. Say hi to someone you don't know, be a good person, and chase your dreams. Go have some fun, make some connections.
Catch any new episodes on Monday, anywhere you get podcasts.
Remember to check us out on our socials, a lunchtime conversation and a lunchtime convo. We'd love to hear back from you. Slide into those DMs.